not a single Hanukkah candle could be seen. Isn't tonight the first night of Hanukkah? Herschel asked the villagers.
We don't have Hanukkah, Herschel.
One of them answered sadly. That was not sadly. That was not sadly at all. That was,
we don't have Hanukkah, Herschel.
there we go. That's better. One of them answered sadly. No Hanukkah. How can that be?
What's happening with Jackson here?
It's because of the goblins. They haunt the old synagogue at the top of the hill.
They New York?
Yeah, are they Sicilian Jews?
They'll just change.
They're mocking you. Keep going.
Whenever you try to light the menorah, the goblins blow out the candles. They break our dreidels. They throw our potato knockers on the floor.
No!
Those wicked goblins make our lives miserable all year long. But on Hanukkah, it's really bad.
You sound like Michael Spiegel.
Herschel knew he must help the village people.
Oh,
I'm not afraid of goblins, he said. Tell me how to get rid of them.
It's not as easy as you think.
The rabbi warned.
You must spend 8 nights in the old synagogue. The Hanukkah candles must be lit each night. On the 8th night, the king of the goblins must light them himself. That is the only way to break their power.
Sounds hard.
I'm not afraid, Rabbi, Herschel said. If I can outwit a few goblins, then my name isn't Herschel of Ostropol.
Oh, look at all the concerns. Wait.
We have
Oh,
all of the villagers.
and
Are
all.
they about to sing Anatevka? Like, what are they doing?
Beautiful.
I think I'm that one.
That's one that got kept because of the beautiful picture.
The villagers wished Herschel good luck. They had no potato latkes to give him, so they packed several hard-boiled eggs for him to eat, along with a big jar of pickles.
Is that why? Is that?
The rabbi gave Herschel a brass menorah.
Here's the menorah.
Thank you. A package of
And the
candles
candles.
and a box of matches.
Ah, yes, forgot.
Yeah, you don't want to forget that. Then the villagers said goodbye. Nobody expected to see Herschel again.
Goodbye, Herschel. Have fun.
He's
So that will sing again.
Everybody say
I haven't seen that
Oh, he's like,
It was long past sundown by the time Herschel climbed to the top
Oh my God.
of the hill where the old synagogue stood. The crumbling building was gloomy and dark, and rusty hinges squealed as Herschel opened the door. Herschel shuddered. Well, could he believe that goblins lived here? He put 2 candles in the menorah and set it on the windowsill. He struck a match and lit the shamus candle. He said the blessings and was about to light the other candle when he heard a voice.
Hi! What are you doing?
Wait, why are they Irish?
The first one's Cockney. The first one's Cockney.
What? Really?
No, it doesn't say it.
I was like, it's not offended.
Hey, the goblins are taking autistic living.
I like it. The next one has to be German.
Herschel turned around. There was a goblin, no bigger than a horsefly, with a long pointy tail and 2 little bat's wings hovering in the air. I'm lighting the Hanukkah candles, Herschel said. Tonight is the first night of Hanukkah, and this is the big scary synagogue.
Oh, it's the synagogue on the top of the hill.
I'm gonna start showing the pictures beforehand so we can
Yes.
see. There we go.
Oh. Okay, I can see why Jake would be scared.
Oh, this was a scary book.
Oh no, it gets worse.
That's you.
Did you see
Oh,
all
no,
these
it's
guys
not.
in the back?
We don't allow Hanukkah. Not around here.
Wait, what is that?
Is that so? Said Herschel.
Fuck
Who's
that
going to
book.
stop
I
me?
should read
A little
it.
pipsqueak like you.
Really
Said the
I
goblin.
burned that
God.
book.
Really?
It's here.
Can you crush rocks in your
The
hand?
Taily part. I will read it to him.
The goblin laughed.
Rush rocks. You're joking. Nobody's that strong.
I am. Watch. Herschel took a hard-boiled egg from his pocket and squeezed it. Sneaky Jew. And squeezed it until the yolk and the white ran through his fingers. That's how hard I'm going to squeeze you if you try to stop me from lighting these candles.
That's what she said.
The little goblin's eyes opened wide, since in the dim light the little egg looked exactly like a rock. The goblin shook with fear.
You leave me alone.
He squeaked. Gladly, said Herschel. if you let me light my candles in peace,
All right.
said the goblin.
One night won't make a difference. But you better not be here tomorrow. Big scary goblins are coming. Much bigger than I. And if you catch the lightning Hanukkah candles, you'll be sorry.
We'll see about that, Herschel said to himself.
You had like 8 accents.
He lit the first candle.
I know.
We're making way. Dun, dun,
On the
dun.
second night, another goblin appeared. This one was big and fat and waddled like a goose.
Oh my god. Hello, Franken.
He looks B-word fat. He's B-word.
Yeah, he's fat. Herschel was finishing his dinner of pickles and hard-boiled eggs. Have some pickles, he said to the goblin.
Pickle?
Here, catch. Herschel tossed him a sour pickle. The goblin caught it in his mouth and swallowed it.
Pickles are good.
Do you like them? I have plenty in this jar. Take all you want. The greedy goblin grabbed as many pickles as his claw could hold. But when he tried to pull his fist out of the jar, he couldn't.
I'm stuck.
The goblin shouted.
You put a spell on this jar to hold me fast.
That's right, Herschel said, laughing. And it's a very powerful spell. Stop me from lighting the Hanukkah candles. So now I'm going to light them while you stand with your hand in that jar and watch. How do you like that?
No!
This one can't.
No!
The goblin screamed.
I hate Hanukkah.
Guess what? You have 2 hands. The other one's busy trying to
There it
get
is.
the jar.
There it is.
Oh, that is a
Oh, wow.
vision.
Wow.
There you go. How's that going? Get right.
Too bad. You'll have to get used to it. Herschel said the blessings and lit the candles slowly. Then he sang all his favorite Hanukkah songs.
They were awful.
The goblin wailed and carried on so much that Herschel finally decided to let him go. Shall I tell you how to break the spell?
Yes, I can't stand it anymore.
Let go of the pickles. Your greed is the only thing holding you prisoner. The goblin let go of the pickles. His hand slipped out of the jar easily. How that goblin raged! He had stood with his hand in a pickle jar while Herschel lit Hanukkah candles under his nose. The furious goblin stamped his foot so hard that he shattered into 1,000,000 pieces.
Do it.
The wind blew him away.
That's so fucking awesome.
The third night came.
Oh my god, that was
Herschel
scary.
felt something watching him as he set the candles in the menorah. Instead of lighting them, he began to play with the dreidel. An hour passed. Herschel looked up. Sitting across the table was another goblin. And 2 enormous horns.
And some acne on his nose.
They're blackheads.
Extra new.
It's getting late.
The goblin said.
When are you going to light the candles?
Later. There's plenty of time. Herschel spun the dreidel.
Really
This
old.
is more fun.
What are you playing with?
The goblin asked.
It looks like a top.
It's a dreidel. Don't you know about dreidels?
No.
Too bad. Dreidels are lots of fun. You can also make lots of money if you know how to play.
Really?
The goblin was interested now. All goblins like money. Wow, that's... Yep.
Awkward.
This one was no exception.
There's self-reflection there. How do you play?
Are you the pot?
Kettle.
It's
Black.
very simple,
It's all good.
Herschel said. But you must have gold. That's the first rule.
Oh, I have plenty. Is this enough?
The goblin poured a pile of gold coins onto the table. That's fine, Herschel said. Listen carefully now. This letter is shin. If it comes up, you give me a handful of gold. This letter is hay. If it comes up, you give me half your gold. If this is gimel, this is gimel. If the dreidel falls on this letter, you give me all your gold. Understand?
Wait, there's one letter left. What about this one?
That's nun. If the dreidel falls on nun, I don't give you anything. Ready? Let's play. You go first.
Sounds logical.
The goblin spun the dreidel. The little top whirled round and round. When it fell, the top letter was shin. Too bad, Herschel said, taking a big handful of the goblin's gold.
Wait, what does Shin mean again?
I get a handful of his gold.
Okay, good.
Try again. Maybe you'll have better luck. The goblin spun the dreidel once more. This time it fell on hay. Ah, this isn't your night, Herschel said, helping himself to half the goblin's gold. One more time. Your luck is bound to improve. Once again the goblin spun. This time the dreidel landed on Gimel. Too bad, Herschel sighed as he took the rest of the goblin's gold. Would you like me to spin?
But this is horseshit.
It's that children's book.
Oh, yes. Yes.
The goblin said, grumbling. He was very unhappy about losing his money. Herschel spun the dreidel. This time, the letter Nun was on top. Oh my! I don't give you anything. I get to keep all the gold. Say, that was fun. Get some more gold and we'll play again.
What about the Hanukkah candles?
Oh, we'll light them later. There's plenty of time.
Not for me.
The goblin said.
I'm leaving now. I don't like this game. I don't like Hanukkah. And I don't like you.
Don't go, Herschel pleaded. I know lots of games. Stay a while. We'll have fun.
Goodbye.
The goblin spread his
I
wings.
said good day, sir.
The goblin spread his wings, swooped out the door, and flew off into the night. Herschel lit the candles all by himself. On the following nights, other goblins came. One had 6 heads, one had 3 eyes. All were terrible
my God!
and fierce. They growled and roared and changed themselves into horrible shapes. They tried to stop Herschel from lighting the Hanukkah candles, but Herschel fooled them all. Finally, the 7th night arrived. 8 tiny candles flickered. Yeah, no, it would have been a long book.
They're like kids' attention span.
No, it's not working out here. 8 tiny candles flickered
goblins.
on the windowsill.
No, you didn't find it, did you?
Herschel sat back to enjoy their light. Where were the goblins? Had they finally given up? Herschel felt very sleepy. His eyes closed. Suddenly he sat up. He heard a horrible sound, a voice that sounded like the crackling of bones.
Happy Hanukkah, Herschel of Ostropol.
Who is it? Who's there?
Don't you know who I am, Herschel? What you expecting? ... The king of the goblins!
The voice rose to a hurricane roar. It ripped the shingles from the synagogue roof and shattered the windows. The Hanukkah candles reeled in the savage blast, but they did not go out. You're too early, Herschel shrieked. You're not supposed to come until tomorrow. The great wind died down. Don't worry.
Don't worry, Herschel. I am far away, but I have the power to see you and speak to you. Enjoy this Hanukkah evening, my friend. It will be your last. Tomorrow night I will come for you. You fooled my slaves, the other goblins. Let me see if you can fool me.
Poor Herschel! What was he to do? The king of the goblins was on his way, and no power on earth could stop him, unless... Herschel had an idea. It was a big chance, but he had to take it. It was the only way he could save himself. That is the fierce wind.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And that's from far away. Nope. It was the last night of Hanukkah. Herschel set the candles in the menorah, but instead of placing it on the windowsill, he put the menorah and the box of matches on a small table near the door. Then he sat down to wait. Night fell. It grew dark as pitch inside the gloomy old synagogue. Outside, the whole world lay cold and silent. Suddenly, a great gust ripped through the synagogue, ripped the synagogue door from its hinges. The whole building shook. A fearsome voice spoke.
Herschel of Ostropol!
Did I hear something?
It is I! Or rather, the king of the goblins!
Forgot his name for a moment.
Herschel laughed. Don't be silly. You're one of the boys from the village. You're trying to scare me.
I'm not a boy! I'm the king! Of the goblins!
I'll believe it when I see it. Show yourself to me.
Behold! I stand before you. Do you believe me now?
Oh! Okay,
I'm
yes.
so glad I came back for that picture.
Actually, he's
I didn't miss a
scary.
bit of it.
I'm saying,
Herschel tried
I don't
not
like
to
it.
look. Even in the darkness, he could see the outline of a monstrous shape filling the doorway. A figure too horrible to describe.
It looks a little bit like an Oscar.
He pretended not to care. It's too dark. I can't see anything. A candlestick and some matches are by the door. Why don't you light a few candles?
Ooh.
Then I'll see who you really are.
Ah, indeed you shall!
A match flared. The shamus candle caught the flame. Herschel's blood turned to water at the sight before him, but he did not lose courage. Master of the world, he prayed silently, thou who created the heavens and the earth and the spirits of the air, stand by me now. Then he addressed the goblin. It's still too dark. What are you afraid of? There are plenty of candles. Why not light them all? A hideous hand took the shamus candle and lit the others one by one. Herschel felt himself growing faint, but he forced himself to look. His eyes grew wider and wider as each candle caught the flame. 6, 7, 8. The king of the goblins stood before him.
Now, Herschel, do you know who I am?
I know you're not Queen Esther.
Very funny! Enjoy the joke. It shall be your last.
This is lighting candles. Yeah, that means Adonai, that's God. That's what you think. Be gone or I'll take a stick to you.
How dare you speak to the king of the goblins that way?
I'll speak to you any way I please. You have no power. Your spell is broken. See? The menorah is lit. You thought those were ordinary candles you
What?
were lighting. They weren't. They
No!
were Hanukkah candles, and you lit them yourself.
All of them!
The king of the goblins roared with fury. The earth trembled, and a mighty wind arose. It ripped off the synagogue roof and blew down the walls. It splintered the great timbers and scattered them like matchsticks. Around the menorah, the whirlwind howled, but the candles never flickered.
Never.
They burned with clear, steady flames. Right there, you see it? Right there. The king of the goblins had no power over them. The spirit of Hanukkah had triumphed. The great wind vanished as suddenly as it had arisen. Herschel rubbed his eyes. The night was still as before, even though the synagogue was gone, walls, floor, roof, even the foundation stones had vanished. But the menorah remained, standing tall upon the little table where Herschel had placed it. Herschel waited until the last candle burned out, and he started down the road that led to the village. I'd better hurry, he thought. I don't want to miss the last night of Hanukkah. But there was no reason to worry. In every window there stood a menorah with 9 gleaming candles to light the way. The whole village was waiting for him.